Driver's going to start to roll from the staging chute. Lucas Oil MLRA pace truck going to roll out onto the speedway. We'll go ahead and get ready to set the starting lineup for tonight's 40 lap, $7,000 to win. Night number one of the 2024 version of the Lucas Oil MLRA Spring Nationals. And on the front row, the driver out of Eatonton, Georgia. That's going to be the 10G of Garrett Smith. Alongside Superman out of Blairsville, Georgia, 49 of Jonathan Davenport.
Starting inside row number 2, Chalk Hill, Pennsylvania's Mason Ziegler in the 25Z, and the 2022 Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series Rookie of the Year, Garrett Alberson, will start in 4th.
In the third row, the 25 junior, it's going to be Tony Jackson Jr. out of Lebanon, Missouri. In the 25, the Deuce Nickel of Chad Simpson out of Mount Vernon, Iowa.
RTJ, Ricky Thornton Jr., he leads the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series out of Martinsville, Indiana, starting inside row number 4. And last year's MLRA Rookie of the Year, Dylan McCowan, starting in 8th.
In row number 5, two-time MLRA winner Logan Martin out of West Plains, Missouri in the 36 machine. And to his outside, the 32 out of Oxford, Iowa, last year's MLRA runner-up, Chris Simpson.
Former modified driver here at Lucas Oil Speedway, Dustin Hodges, starts inside row number 6. Jeff Herzog to his outside from Festus, Missouri in the 11.
Back in row 7, the 20 out of Happy, Texas, Rodney Sanders tonight behind the wheel of car number 29, and the 49W of Justin Wells out of Aurora, Missouri.
Mike Marlar was the World of Outlaws champ back in 2018. He's out of Winfield, Tennessee in the 157, starting inside row 8. And starting in 16th, it's Matt Johnson, a former MLRA Rookie of the Year from Archie, Missouri.
Rolling off on the 17th starting spot, the 1X out of Richmond, Missouri. B-main winner tonight, Aaron Morant, alongside Searcy, Arkansas's Tyler Stevens in car number 2.
Drivers back in row 10 finished second in their Bs. Dusty Leonard from Marysville, Kansas in the 7D, and Gordy Gundaker from St. Charles, Missouri in the 11G.
Your final pair of drivers to qualify their way in tonight, back in row 11, the 7 of Cole Wells from Aurora, Missouri, and Trevor Gundaker from St. Charles.
Well, when you don't make the show, it pays to have points from last year. Justin Duty from Molalla, Oregon in the 15 will start inside row number 12. Mason Oberkramer on his outside from Brosley, Missouri in the 93.
Brennan Willard also going to take an emergency provisional option back in the 25th starting spot. That will complete our 25-car starting grid in tonight's A-main event. 40 laps. Go ahead.
Again, Billy, with this MLRA event scheduled for your Cars and Stars for the Midwest Late Model Racing Association, we saw it last year. You mentioned all the rain that came end of the year last year. Same thing happened at the beginning of the 2023 season. Went about 5 or 6 weeks getting washed out just about everywhere you went. Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series was unable to race early on, so just like last year, Jonathan Davenport, Ricky Thornton Jr., they all come in to Lucas Oil Speedway. First of all, they're racing for the experience, wanting to get the cars dialed in early on in the year, especially whenever you can't race on your regular series. But you also have to think it's a way to pad the pocket, but get more laps turned at Lucas Oil Speedway, knowing what's coming up in about a month's time whenever the Show Me 100 rolls to town.
Well, and I think this year a little bit more critical than the past. You've alluded to all the dirt that's been added to this racetrack in the offseason, changing things a little bit maybe for these guys. This may be a little advantage tonight for some of these drivers this weekend here, like Davenport, Garrett Smith, Garrett Alberson, Ricky Thornton Jr., those guys that you know are going to be back here in a little over a month to contend for that crown jewel Show Me 100. One of the things I want to throw out real quick, too, is you see some of these cars out here tonight, some blinking lights inside tonight's racing action, as you've seen during Florida-Georgia Speed Weeks a couple of times. Drivers have inside their cockpits tonight from the MLRA Series staff the light seaver by Raceiver. It's basically an in-car flagman, if you want to say. That will be controlled by Ernie Leftwich up here in the tower, MLRA Series Director. Just something a little bit different, testing and tuning. Looking towards the future, but yet again, Mike Striegel's job is safe right here at the Lucas Oil Speedway.
Yeah, we ain't going to let him go. He's one of the best in the business.
Are you feeling threatened yet with his move down here, or your position? Are you feeling threatened yet?
I have thought about it, and until he turns the mic on, and then I'm pretty good for a little while. But
good. Just
knowing that he has it, and I said this last week, I got to be careful now. I used to give him so much grief, and he didn't have any way to retaliate. Now it's like I was having the gun, he had the knife. Now we both got guns.
Yeah, you just put bullets in his chamber. No, well, but you don't have to worry. But you might have a mic drop. The infamous mic drop. What we've seen tonight, you could have a mic drop.
Yeah, we had a checker drop last week and this week already. So, and that's a brand new microphone, by the way. We put good dollars and cents into that. Hate to see him drop that so early in the season.
Now, he doesn't surely go back and listen to these flow broadcasts to the point where I need to be concerned about, seeing him tomorrow or anything we've said.
No,
okay.
He's going to focus all of his attention on me, I guarantee you that.
All right, looks like some debris possibly over in turn number 1 and 2. MLRA crew out on the speedway, checking a couple of things out before we go green. I seen Gordy Gundaker had stopped on the racetrack, so maybe pointing something out to the series officials there. Now you see Justin Duty coming to a stop over there. Actually, looks like we've lost Gordy Gundaker off the racetrack. Kind of escaped on me there. I didn't know if you caught that or not. But Gordy off the speedway.
I think I heard him say that he had a flat tire and he was going back into the pit, if I'm not mistaken. Something else that has me a little intrigued. It seems like almost any time MLRA, Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series comes in, and I think this goes back to the new dirt on the surface, 9 times out of 10 you see some type of work done during intermission, and you can inevitably look over in turn number 2, and every single driver is right there on the top side of the track seeing what's done, seeing what they need to do to their cars, last-minute adjustments. This track was not touched at intermission, so a lot of these drivers you mentioned had made their way in already through the heats and have just been sitting for the last 2 hours, made it a little easier for them to sit through intermission knowing nothing was being done to the track.
Definitely not a lot of mind games tonight. We're used to seeing that here at the Lucas Oil Speedway a lot of times, a lot of track prep work to always give these guys, the best opportunity for everybody to race for this $7,000 tonight. And don't ever want to hand that over to somebody sitting on the front row. You got to give them a raceable track, as we see Gordy Gundaker about ready to roll out of turn number 2. Looks like he's got a fresh Hoosier tire on there, so he'll be able to tag the backside of the field as we get ready to turn things loose here momentarily. As still got some drivers, looks like some more debris over in turn number 3. We've had a couple of motors go up in the Show Me Vintage class tonight, so chance of a lot of metal, a lot of debris out there on the speedway, so they're going to take a couple of minutes to make sure and check that out before we go green, it appears.
And I will tell you, this is one of the better crews around the entire Midwest whenever it comes to working on a track. The work that's done to get it ready, but the work that the Hobby Time Motorsports safety crew does to make sure, exactly to your point, no debris. If there is any type of oil or anything that is put down, we'll spin an extra couple of laps to make sure that we get it right. We're not going to rush in any situation. We want to make sure that these drivers are safe and we give the best racing surface possible.
All right, still trying to get things sorted out here. Gordy Gundaker going to have to go shotgun on the tail due to coming pit side and getting that tire changed. So he will drop to the back after his qualifying position, so he'll start 25th on the grid. So the caution light's still on, Shane. We got a minute or two here. I'll put you on the spot. Front row's out. Who's your man?
Okay, that makes it a whole heck of a lot easier by doing that. If my front row is out, I'm going to go with Mason Ziegler sitting back in 4th right now.
Something about that second row, because I'm going to go on your outside, and I'm going to go with Garrett Alberson. It's a guy that has been really, really close to getting that big momentum win. And, he had a $10,000 win a year ago at the Ronnie Adams Memorial. This one's not quite as much tonight, but, man, this is a pretty big stage right here to be able to come from that 4th spot. This is a guy that's got that Longhorn chassis dialed in, and he's familiar with this place. So we'll keep an eye on Garrett Alberson tonight. My pick to win.
Tiffany says it's RTJ. Can't disagree with her on that. But he's coming from a long ways back, 8th. And, again, 8th isn't all that far, but this isn't exactly a Show Me 100. This is only 40 laps. And I guess the bigger question is, what about JD or the field? Which one are you going to take there?
All right, through the Nutrient Ag Solutions start zone. Garrett Smith going to jump out to the early advantage. Here comes your man, Ziegler. Down to the inside, Superman to the outside, making it 3 wide on lap number 1. All for naught is the caution. Caution will fly on the racetrack. Not sure if that was a discretionary start from the Nutrient Ag Solutions start zone. It appears did not have it side by side as they were supposed to. So we will try this one once again. That looked like a great start by Ziegler down the inside, and Davenport makes it one better up on the top side right there on that one. It's one of those things, gives you a little bit of an opportunity right there. What worked, what didn't work on that initial start of this race for these guys. Gives you a little bit of an opportunity if you didn't have a great start. Little redemption. If you had a good one, you're wishing that wouldn't have been called back.
And go back to the comment about RTJ sitting back there in row 4. If you recall back in qualifying and time trials, it was tight among all your top 10 cars. There was not a lot of gap in between the speeds early on. You go back to the heats and the Bs, not a lot of passing in those races. You pretty much had to start in the front to finish in the front. So I think for this feature, it's really going to be difficult for anybody from row 4 or on back in the span of 40 laps to make it up to P1.
Well, I think the guy you got to keep your eyes on tonight is Mike Marlar, starting back there in row number 8, starting 15th on the grid. Would have never guessed that he would be starting this deep in the field when we pulled in this weekend. You know, a guy that is, as I said, back-to-back wins last weekend, over $30,000 in the bank at a couple of events a week ago. 4 wins already on the season. That was 2 wins last weekend coming out the Volunteer Speedway. 3 times Knoxville Nationals champion. And right now sits number 2 on the Dirt on Dirt late model power rankings. As Chris Simpson now begins to roll down the back straightaway. We'll see what's going on there. Get that shook out. Get him back up into his original starting position. Also keeping an eye on tonight's Swift Springs. Presenters of the Swift Springs Move of the Race Award. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Of all the movers and the shakers, some good moves out on the racetrack during the course of the night. As the caution lights are out, we'll try it again. The Nutrient Ag Solutions start zone. This time, Smith moved back to row 2 for that start. Davenport now inherits the pole position alongside the 25 of Ziegler. Jonathan Davenport puts it up on that top shelf here on lap number 1. He will lead the way off the exit at turn number 4. Into that second spot. Now it's Ziegler side by side with Garrett Smith down to the inside with Tony Jackson Jr. pouncing on the inside in car number 25 here early on.
Davenport still, even though he is out in front by a full second over Garrett Smith now, who's gotten around Mason Ziegler, you can see him looking for any type of traction that he can. He'll start going high side in 3 and 4. Next time around, go down to the apron. He is just looking for as much brown tacky as he can find.
A little bit of close quarters right there between Ziegler and Smith. Little contact off the exit at turn number 4 as now Ziegler up into that second spot. But right now it is all Jonathan Davenport on cruise control. Somebody's going to have to make their way through traffic in a hurry if they're going to contend for this one, because that last time by, Davenport out to a 1.568 second advantage. You talked about it, Shane, how dominant he was a year ago as the caution comes out once again on the racetrack for the 1X machine. A couple of other big dates coming up: Lake Ozark Speedway, Farmington Empire Speedway over by the St. Louis area, Lebanon I-44. Lots of great racetracks coming up here on the Lucas Oil MLRA 2 over the next month to month and a half, and then we're going to slow things down. We kind of take summer off. You know, maybe I'll come down and visit you once in a while.
Well, you're more than welcome to come down any week you want to that you don't have races to watch races. I'm sure that's exactly what you want to do.
You know, I've always wanted to flip positions with Striegel. Maybe I could jump down there. He could come up here with you for a full night.
Absolutely.
You know?
We did that during the USRA Nationals last year, came up and called a race with us, and I think that was what got his whistle wet, wanting to get down on the flag stand and do a little announcing down there. But flagging duties come first.
All right, back under the control of Jonathan Davenport. He'll take it back under the Nutrient Ag Solutions start zone. Chris Simpson back out on the racetrack. He'll tag the backside of this field as he stays on the lead lap, and we're back under the green. Davenport will show the way. Garrett Smith tucks in second. They'll both jump up to the top side. You got to find Ziegler and Jackson now for a couple of drivers looking to get out of line as your top two starting to run away here in a hurry, all running that top cushion. But once again, Smith, he'll try that bottom side, try and grab a little bit of that unique concrete patch around the bottom side of this Lucas Oil Speedway.
And the guy that you picked, Garrett Alberson, he's been kind of the man mired back in traffic. He's lost a couple spots. RTJ that started back in 8th. He's now up into the top 5 as he follows Tony Jackson Jr. Jackson Jr. running in 4th, RTJ in 5th, and the Midwest Sheet Metal caution comes out.
Aaron Morant slowing up and off the pace in turn number 4. He gets it fired and rolls down the front stretch, as he looks like he as well will exit off the turn number 2 here at the Lucas Oil Speedway. Another guy I was watching right there before that caution came out was Chad Simpson, your defending series champion. Chad Simpson rolled off back there in that 6th position. Is up there bouncing around that top 5 right now in car number 25, right with Ricky Thornton Jr. But this is one of these races, you just want to see this get into a rhythm. And right now we're 5 laps in finally. I think we've had 3 shots to get 5 laps in.
Tough going here in the opening first 5 or 6 laps, but what you'll always find with these guys is once they do indeed get a little spread out and a couple of laps in, they can easily go from lap 6 to lap 40 in the blink of an eye. Lucas Oil Speedway, the rest of our schedule, talked about MLRA, talked about Flow Racing. We will be back tomorrow. Show Me Vintage Racers, Super Stocks, Lucas Oil MLRA Late Models, the 3 classes that will be here. Our regular Big Adventure RV Weekly Racing Series, the 2 weeks after that, 20th and 27th. Then we'll turn our attention to some sprint car action, the POWRi National Midgets, the POWRi West Midgets, POWRi War Sprints, all in on May 4th, regular racing on May 11th. Then we take the next weekend off, all in preparation for the 32nd annual Show Me 100. Starts with the Cowboy Classic on May 23rd, the tribute to Don and Billy Gibson on May 24th, and then the creme de la creme, the granddaddy of them all, the 100-lap main event, the Show Me 100 on May 25th.
All right, third time is the charm. As caution lights are out, back underneath the green flag from the Nutrien Ag Solutions start zone. Davenport Smith going to lead the way yet again here as we put 5 on the board, looking to go 6 this time by. Davenport had just over a half a second advantage that last time before the caution came out. Quickly opens that up to just over a second here in a matter of a lap, as we now watch Ziegler dicing off the exit of turn number 2 with Ricky Thornton Jr. Tony Jackson Jr. in that Capital chassis, driver of the house car here in 2024, now working his way to the bottom. This is a guy that's got a lot of laps, a lot of experience right here around the Lucas Oil Speedway from down the road, Lebanon, Missouri. 2-time series champion. He'll slid eyed up a little bit right there, Mason Ziegler. Little contact, little rubbing racing. Opens up the door down on the bottom side for the 58 of Alberson. As the caution will fly. Caution out for the 3rd time. Midwest Sheet Metal caution number 3 back out on the racetrack.
That's for debris over in turn 4. It had been sitting there for a lap or 2, got knocked around, and whenever it ended up right in the middle of the track, everybody running either the apron or the cushion was going high side, low side of it. But finally, race control says we do need to stop it, get that debris off the track. It can cause some damage to a car, obviously, and you don't want that to happen either. You don't want to have a car get taken out for no apparent reason or some debris on the track. So caution comes out. They get that picked back up. We'll get them all stacked and repacked and ready to fire off again.
Checking on the movers and shakers here through lap number 9. Looks to be Justin Duty. Justin Duty up 8 spots. Rolled off in that 23rd spot on the grid. Currently sitting in the 15th position out on the racetrack. Car number 15 out of Mola, Oregon. One of the MLRA regulars that had to take a provisional to get himself in tonight, making that well worth the effort, as well as Cole Wells. Also up 5 positions, as is Trevor Gunbaker, as those drivers run in the 16th and 17th positions respectively.
Just looking at lap times for these drivers out in clean air. Jonathan Davenport, his last lap, the only driver out of all the cars on the track inside 16 seconds. He was down at a 15.996, and he is also the only driver to average a sub 16-second lap. He's averaging a 15.84.
All right, going to get the jump early right there. He'll get on a right in turn number 3, bringing us back to the green flag once again. And the Nutrien Ag Solutions sponsor number 49, Davenport up on the top side. Just got to continue to maintain that groove as we slowly continue to push the cushion up a little bit higher. We're getting a little bit closer to that wall as Davenport's getting a lot closer to that wall in turn number 3.
I remember back to the SRX race, and I know you can't compare these cars at all. Don't think I'm trying to. But whenever those cars came in, Jonathan Davenport was the only SRX car to go to the top side of the track nearly every single lap, even from the very beginning. I think he's just used to running that line here at Lucas Oil Speedway. Served him well back then, and now again he's starting to hunt a little more. Now going down to the inside through 1 and 2, but goes right back to the top shelf in 3 and 4.
It's a very versatile racetrack out here tonight. Lots of drivers working the bottom side. Jackson there almost getting himself a tractor tire as Mason Oberkramer going to take it off the speedway, retire from the show tonight. But two distinct grooves out here on the racetrack right here tonight. Can't say that one's superior. They're very, very much equal, not able to gain a lot of ground with one group over the other right now. As now you've got a lead starting to stretch out by Davenport out to 1.1 seconds over Garrett Smith, Ziegler, Tony Jackson Jr., Garrett Alberson. Rounding out your top 5 right in front of Ricky Thornton Jr., who rides in 6th.
We'll give big shout out to Tony Jackson Jr. right now in the 25. He's been top 5 all night long. He started in 5th. He's only jumped up 1 spot, but he's challenging with Ziegler for 3rd. Continues to stay right around the apron through 1 and 2. He's not budging off the bottom of the track at all. Same thing can be said for Ziegler. He's not budging off the top side of the track at all. And now Garrett Alberson slowly starting to work his way back in as he and Ricky Thornton Jr. are side by side. That's for 5th.
15 on the board. We're going to make it 16 this time by as your leader comes off the exit of turn number 4. And Shane, we're probably about 6, 8, 9 laps away from the backside of this field. When we get into lap traffic, right now the predominant cars in the backside of this field are all running on the bottom side of the speedway. So might make things a little bit easier for Davenport if that bottom side continues to be the place for the backside of this field to run.
Yeah, I think it would help the top 3 running cars actually, as Garrett Smith and Ziegler for the most part, especially in 3 and 4, are also to the top side of the track, and that is the place that Davenport runs extremely well. So once he gets past those first 3 or 4 lap cars, then it's going to get really interesting, because from then on through the rest of the field, it's either top side or bottom side. It's not a choice. They're both going to be taken up whenever he gets past those first couple of cars.
Now Garrett Smith up in that 2nd spot last time by, gained a couple of tenths of a second on Davenport. We'll see if he can maintain that this time by. Hangs right there, 2.1 seconds back, so he's hanging with Davenport. So if he can hold that deficit right there until he gets to the back of this field, we'll see if he can do something with that. If maybe Jonathan Davenport can get married in some lap traffic as we put the halfway flags in the air next time by. We've got, this time by 20 down, 20 to go here at the Lucas Oil Speedway.
And with Jonathan having over a 2.5 second lead over Garrett Smith, he doesn't necessarily have to get in a hurry getting past these lap cars. He can kind of time them out, try to attack at the right time to get around them and not get mired in that traffic that you're talking about. I think it'd be a much different story if he had a rear view mirror full of Garrett Smith, but right now he's sitting pretty good where he's at right now with that big of a gap.
But I tell you what, you take Jonathan Davenport out of this mix, we've got a whale of a race back here between Smith and Ziegler back here for 2nd and 3rd on the speedway. Ziegler that time going to almost jump the cushion off the exit at turn number 2. That opens up the door for Ricky Thornton Jr. Thornton now starting to make a charge towards the front as he works to the inside of Ziegler. That's your battle for the 3rd spot. Is now your race leader. Jonathan Davenport sets his sights on a pair of Gundakers as he begins to work his way through lap traffic.
7th to 4th for Ricky Thornton Jr. right now. We were talking about the big movers earlier on. Justin Duty is now up 11 spots, and Mike Marlar, the guy you said to keep an eye on, he's gone from 15th up to 7th. He's improved 8 positions.
Heavy lap traffic as your leaders make their way down the front straightaway this time. 25 laps in the books. Car slow down the front straightaway. That's going to be Garrett Smith. He has pancaked the wall hard, Shane. Heavy right rear damage on the 10 machine will bring him to a stop on the front straightaway. The driver that was running in the 2nd spot on the racetrack at the time here on lap number 25. Some heavy damage. It's one of those guys that was flirting with the top side of this racetrack, and it obviously jumped out and bit the backside of that Vic Hill-powered rocket.
Especially on the exit of turn 4, it can get really dicey up there. If you are running up around the cushion, it's a razor's edge up there, and if you jump it, you can get in the wall in a hurry. And for the guy that was running 2nd, Garrett Smith, tough break for him. He had fallen back to third, and now Ricky Thornton Jr. Look at where he sits right now. How about a big-time mover, not necessarily position-wise, but he is now knocking on the door of Jonathan Davenport.
Gotta like where you're sitting right now if you're Ricky Thornton Jr. Quietly getting it done. Hasn't been flashy, just maintaining himself. 40-lap race. It's kind of a sprint tonight for these guys. Tomorrow night, a little bit more of a marathon, 60 laps the distance. And now we've set ourselves up with a 15-lap dash to the cash for $7,000. Can't count out Ziegler. He's been very consistent all night long, sitting back there in that third position in car number 25, as is Tony Jackson Jr. in that Capital chassis number 25 as well.
And I want to see how this gets diced out here because he is running second on the pylon. He's second on the field right now, but depending upon when that caution came out, he might have to go back a couple of spots. Want to see exactly how they decipher this up here in the scoring tower with timing and scoring the way it sits right now. Mason Ziegler in the other 25. He and Tony Jackson Jr. also in the top 5.
And you also got to think at this point, Jonathan Davenport, is he going to drive this race a little bit different now? He lost that 2-second cushion, and now in that rearview mirror, he's going to have that 20 RT. It appears in that second spot. He's going to have to definitely be locked in on kill on this restart, ready to go, because you've got a couple of tough hombres right there. You've also got, as I said, Garrett Alberson back there inside that top 5, Tony Jackson Jr. You got Chad Simpson, Mike Marlar. You alluded to him a moment ago. He is really charged up through the field in that 157. You see him down there trying to cool his tires off on the inside of the backstretch. Still 17 cars out on the racetrack from our original 25. Beautiful racetrack out here tonight. All right, lights are out this time by. It'll leave us with 15 up on the board. 4th Midwest Sheet Metal Caution of the night on the racetrack as we head back to the Nutrient Ag Solutions start zone. Jonathan Davenport in control. Ricky Thornton Jr. for the first time tonight has his eyes on the race leader as they come off the exit at turn number 4. Both drivers down at the bottom. Ziegler will use the top side. He'll have the momentum down into turn number 1. At your top 3 as Jonathan Davenport. Really don't have to change anything, Shane. You've been doing what you've been doing.
Yep.
Maybe push it a little bit harder, as we'll have to watch and see if that turn 4 wall bites him as it got up and got Garrett Smith.
Yeah, where Jonathan Davenport, when he was not in lap traffic, he was turning the fastest times. Once he got to lap traffic, that was whenever Ricky Thornton was really able to make hay. And now that they're both in clean dirt, got to think Jonathan Davenport has a little bit of an advantage. And just looking at the times, yeah, he's about 0.3 of a second a lap faster than Ricky Thornton right now.
So now you've got your first lap where Thornton's really out there by himself. He's finally gotten a little bit of separation from Mason Ziegler. Last time, 1.1 seconds the advantage out in front. He's 0.2 of a second faster, is the 49 that time by. So Davenport taking advantage of the fact that he shouldn't have to contend with lap traffic the rest of the distance with 12. Let's make it 11 laps to go this time by.
Jonathan Davenport now 1.6 seconds ahead of RTJ. And RTJ just ran his fastest lap of the race, nearly a 16 flat. So now that he has plenty of clear windshield out in front of him, with the exception of one car, he's able to pick and choose his line, and he is starting to pick it up and put it down.
Davenport, you talked about it earlier tonight, has been a dominating force right here at the Lucas Oil Speedway. 1 year ago, 4 wins. He gets the Spring Nationals, the Cowboy Classic, the tribute to Donna Billy Gibson. He got the Diamond Nationals. 12 MLRA wins in his career, 10 of them right here at the Lucas Oil Speedway for car number 49 as he starts to stretch things out here over the closing laps in the Nutrient Ag Solutions. Car number 49 is Thornton still continuing to dig deep, cut into the gap deficit, that time down to 1.5 seconds for the 20 RT.
Yeah, and Jonathan Davenport, that is one lap that I think he'd like to have back. It was a 16.4, one of his slower laps. That's why Ricky Thornton Jr. caught up with him, and he's going to cut into it another tenth of a second. He is slowly starting to reel him in with 7 to go.
And it may close quickly here as now Davenport closes in on the 8 machine of Dylan McCowan, working that same top side line. Now Davenport's going to have to make some decisions. Down to just 6 laps to go and 1.2 seconds the advantage for Jonathan Davenport as he's got side-by-side lap traffic down the back chute as Rodney Sanders will dive to the infield and call it a night at car number 29.
That was one car that Davenport's not going to have to get around. He was running the inside with McCowan on the outside, and here's RTJ in the picture.
Thornton works the bottom side. Davenport's got to find a way. He will make the big, bold move down into turn number 3. Slides up in front of Dylan McCowan. McCowan going to follow in his footsteps. Now he's got a buffer. Huge move right there as it's 0.7 of a second the difference. Thornton back down to the bottom side off 2.
Boy, sure wasn't much of a buffer. RTJ got around him faster than Davenport did.
Both working the top side. You've got the 22 machine of Hodges now in the crosshairs of your race leaders. Same place on the top side of the speedway. Thornton down to the bottom side. Davenport able to use a little bit of a diamond move, a little momentum move off the top side at turn number 2. Now dives to the bottom side, and here comes Ricky with him. He'll slide across the nose of the 22 machine of Hodges to hang on to the point.
Lap time's getting faster and faster for Ricky Thornton Jr. He's cutting into him 1/10 of a second every lap, but he's running out of time.
Barron's 1 to go. Coming out this time by the Barron's Performance 1 to go is shown to Jonathan Davenport. Final time around here on opening night of the 11th Annual Spring Nationals with Ricky Thornton Jr. In tow, not going to have enough as it appears. Thornton will give it one more shot down to the bottom side, but off the exit of 4. Win number 11 of the Lucas Oil Speedway for Jonathan Davenport at car number 49. Gets it done here tonight over the 20 RT of Ricky Thornton Jr. Mason Ziegler, Garrett Alverson comes home in the 4 spot. Tony Jackson Jr. will round out your top 5. Chad Simpson, Mike Marlar, Justin Wells with a great run at car number 49. The 15 of Justin Duty. How about that from Provisional Land to finish in 9th? As Chris Simpson also rallies home to finish in 10th. But tonight's A-main event going home with the driver out of Blairsville, Georgia, Jonathan Davenport, grabs the win on night number 1.
Pretty sick what Jonathan Davenport is able to do here at Lucas Oil Speedway. You mentioned the 4 late model wins, add in the SRX race, so 5 last year. He will start the season with another victory, and can he get the big sweep and the big payday tomorrow with the $20,000 to win? They're going to cross the scales, come back out. Billy Rock is on his way down to chat with our race winners. We're going to step aside real quickly, come back right after this here on Flow Racing.